Vox AC30 is a classic amp that originated in the 60s. Vox initially developed the AC30 for the Shadows because their AC15s weren't loud enough. It then ended up as the basic default amp for practically everyone. Bands like the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, the Animals, the Yardbirds, and the Kinks, they all used it. The Who did not, though. Pete Townsend preferred Fender amps. And that was pretty much the standard until the arrival of the first Marshall amps. The Vox AC30 ruled the UK domestic market for the first half of the 1960s. Then Marshall took over for the second half and pretty much onwards. Vintage AC30s continue to have their loyalists even into the Marshall era, notably Roy Gallagher and Brian May of Queen. They did have a resurgence during the punk era, Joe Strummer of The Clash and Paul Weller of The Jam, to name but two, and later on, The Edge of U2. I prefer to use this amp for its clean and chimey sound. GarageBand does a great job of simulating this amp. One thing we will get into is that you can switch up speaker cabinets. British amps tend to default to the Celestion brand of speakers, whereas American amps like Fenders use Jensen speakers and moved on to other brands as well. You can find this amp in GarageBand by choosing a new track and then clicking on the icon with the guitar and amp. Then on the left side of the screen, choose the electric guitar and bass option. Then choose Clean Guitar. Then choose the Brit and Clean. This is the second amp down on that list. This will open up the amp, and then you can go in and edit or adjust the amp as you want. Here's a screenshot of where I set up this particular amp. For the speaker, I used the stock British 212. That's a speaker cabinet with two speakers for those of you who are new to this whole guitar thing. I did change out the ribbon mic for a Dynamic 57, which is basically your standard Shure SM57 microphone, used in probably about 98% of all clubs in America since it came around. So I'm going to clam up now and just go through some different setups. There are two Vox style amps here, the AC30 and the classic AC15, which I mentioned before. Hope you enjoy, and leave a comment if you'd like to know more about other GarageBand amps and what the real world counterpart is.